Hi, everyone. Steve Adubato, and I want to welcome our good friend Tom Bergeron, who is the owner and editor of ROI&J. How we doing, Tom?
Always good to be here, Steve. Thanks for having me.
You got it. We're doing this cooperative broadcast in which we interview. This is all about New Jersey's economic future, which, Tom, different people have different points of view on this. We have Senator Declan O'Scanlon, who's the Republican budget officer in the state Senate, and State Assemblywoman Shavonda Sumter, who is the chair of the New Jersey Black Legislative Caucus and chair of the Community Development Affairs Committee. So, Tom, they talk about affordability, small business, childcare, whole range of issues. ROI reports on this all the time and analyzes it all the time. There are a whole different range of views on the future of New Jersey's economy, right?
Yeah, look, there's going to be different views on the future of the New Jersey economy, the U.S. economy, and the global economy.
Right.
You know, we're all trying to figure out how we come out of this, look at the positive steps and the negative steps. And I think things going forward are going to be a little bit different coming out of this than we've ever seen before, obviously.
Yeah, and the real important reason to take a look at this, we'll do it in a couple of seconds, the real important reason to have a Democratic and a Republican leader dealing with the economic issues in New Jersey is?
Well, look, you're going to get the Republicans are going to say everything is awful, and the Democrats are going to say everything is great. But you could go to any town, any state, anywhere, and you're going to get that back and forth. We'll break it down to see where we're at. And
check out ROI&J. You'll see the website up. You can find. I always say this, Tom, that we have no horse in the race. We're not rooting for anyone, and neither are you. We're just rooting for truth, analysis, and people can decide for themselves. So for ROI&J, State of Affairs, Steve Adubato, Tom Bergeron, New Jersey's economic future, we kick off with State Senator Declan O'Scanlon. We're now joined by Senator Declan O'Scanlon, the budget officer in the Senate. How you doing, Senator?
Doing well, Steve. How are you?
I'm doing great. Listen, finish this. New Jersey's economic future is?
Perilous.
What? What do you mean perilous?
It is. Well, here's the thing. We are lulled into a sense of security right now with the billions and billions of dollars from federal money, the $4.5 billion that we unnecessarily borrowed, the surplus that we ended up with, which was massive, which Republicans predicted. The administration did not. Eventually, the music is going to stop. And I worry that because we haven't made any of the structural changes we should have over the past few years, where there was real opportunity to do it and head off what I think is probably going to face us in the future, it's going to be worse than it would have been otherwise. You know, before we started the pandemic, it was not hard to plot New Jersey's course, and it was unquestionably perilous. We were facing structural deficits of billions of dollars a year unless we did things like work with public workers on more reforms to save money where we can on pensions, to save money where we can on health benefits. None of that has happened. So when this money goes away, and it will go away, we'll be in worse shape than we were going in.
But Senator, hold on. I'm sorry for interrupting. Respectfully, isn't it a fact that Governor Murphy and others on the Democratic side, in fact, moved to change the health care benefits for public employees to the point where many public employees are peeved at Democrats and Governor Murphy for doing that? And you just said they didn't do anything to change. What am I missing?
The savings that they claimed we were going to get, you need look no further for hard evidence that the savings they were claiming they were going to get from those quote unquote reforms. And I bought into those reforms too, by the way. I was hopeful that we would see the savings, but right. You need look no further than this year where they announced 20% increases in premiums for our health benefit system, our state health benefit system, and teachers and all public workers, 20% this year. So not only did the savings not materialize, our costs are out of control. Now, some of that is due to an increase in usage as a rebound from the pandemic, no question. But much of it is not. We haven't seen the savings they told us we were going to see. So sorry, the evidence is absolutely clear that those supposed savings didn't materialize and won't unless you do real, firm adjustments. You're not going to, these costs are going to run wild.
Talk about New Jersey's economic future as it relates to, quote, small business in this state. You're down the Jersey Shore. By the way, let everyone know, Senator, your district is in what counties, or is it all in Monmouth?
all in Monmouth County, my home county. So I'm a solid Monmouth County guy from the moment I was born to the area I represent. And I represent probably just a little over a third of Monmouth County, the Bay Shore and the Two Rivers area.
Sorry for interrupting. Let's talk about small business. New Jersey's economic future as it relates to small business. Describe it.
Challenging. The atmosphere for small business is a little different than big business. Big business can choose to operate anywhere. Small businesses are local, but we don't make it easy for small businesses to exist. We have not avoided, for instance, some very significant cost increases on employers for every employee. Our UI fund, we failed. We could have used
Unemployment Insurance Fund. UI Unemployment Insurance Fund.
Yes, sorry. We failed to deal with that deficit with American Recovery Plan money, and that has led to multi-hundreds of millions of dollars of UI unemployment insurance costs to employers and employees, several $100s per employee. So we don't make it easy on small businesses, and we didn't during the pandemic. They were the ones most affected. They were the ones by far most negatively impacted and most likely to close or to still be struggling now because they spent down their savings. I talk to businesses still every day. I just heard from one 2 days ago. He may close this winter because his usual reserves just aren't there. He had a good summer, but he wasn't able to build back his reserves. And we have no programs to deal with bridging that gap.
Well, I'm going to refer people back to interviews we've done with Tim Sullivan, the EDA, the Economic Development Authority director, who has a different perspective on the role of. Go ahead, because he made a whole case in terms of what the EDA, Economic Development Authority, is doing in that regard. But go ahead, Senator.
Well, and I like Tim Sullivan. We get along very well. I talk to him on a regular basis, and he's really responsive, actually. I liked him very, very much. But this particular business owner, when I spoke with Tim directly, we just don't have a program right now to help bridge that gap. So that program doesn't exist. There are programs right now that can help with capital expenses, but I'm thinking we probably ought to create a program. We still have several $billion of American Recovery Plan money that haven't gone out the door. More than $1 billion is unallocated. We should use some of that for exactly money. Programs like this.
Senator, that's federal money connected to the pandemic, correct?
That's exactly right. Yes.
Okay. Senator, let me ask you this. I asked Governor Murphy, and please go back if you want, steveadubato.org, the interview we did with Governor Murphy a few months back. I pressed him respectfully, as always, as you know, it's what we do.
That's good. That's fair.
That's the only way to do it. So I asked him about affordability, and he talked about the anchor property tax program, which I ask you about in a moment. But I asked about people leaving the state for states like Florida with no income tax, our income tax versus their income tax. And he argued that the premise of my question was wrong, that people are not leaving in significant numbers. You laugh because?
Because it's garbage. Because to suggest that people don't use a massive change in income or retained money that's not paid to the government to decide where to live, where to have their domicile be, where to open businesses, to suggest that people don't use those metrics is to suggest that people are idiots. And it's just not so. The governor and other people argue against that premise, that completely obvious premise. So we have more millionaires every year in New Jersey. Well, yes, just by the rate of inflation, people get a raise, they cross over the $1 million figure. People making, if you're making more than 10 million, and those people pay the bulk, a plurality of our taxes. If you're making more than 10 million, you've already got a house in Florida. You're already spending months there. It's not hard to spend a couple extra months out in New Jersey and take your tax from 11 point something % down to 0.
Let's be clear. I'm sorry, Senator. To be clear, you need to be in Florida for 6 months and 1 day.
No. No, that premise is wrong. You need to be out of New Jersey for 6 months and 1 day. Let's say you've got Steve Adubato. We know you make more than 10 mil, so we know you're thinking about making this transition. So you've got your mansion in Florida.
I'm staying in Jersey, but go ahead. No matter what the taxes, I'm staying. But go ahead, Declan.
Well, and me too. Okay, so all right, between us, we're two idiots.
Go ahead.
So, but I'm not making your kind of money, so I don't have as much money at risk. So you've got your mansion in Florida. Right on the grounds of Mar-a-Lago and having dinner with Donald Trump on a regular basis. And you're there for 4 or 5 months a year. Let's say 5 months,
Go
right?
ahead.
Well, and And then you get an apartment in Manhattan, which is easy to do. And you're out 4 weeks in one day. You don't have to be in Florida for 6 months. You just have to be out of New Jersey. This is not hard to do.
And then you pay no income tax?
And pay zero. So think about that. You spend a few weekends in Manhattan, adds up to another month. You're already spending 4 or 5 months in Florida, or God knows where you're traveling. It ain't hard. And if you're making 100 mil or $1 billion, it's real money. Tyreek Hill said it blatantly. He decided not to come to the Jets because of tax and affordability reasons. So it's happening. People are deciding not to come here in the first place because of these things. So it dramatically impacts people.
Senator, let me do this. 30 seconds left. The connection between affordable, accessible, quality childcare and the economy is, because we have an initiative called Reimagine Childcare. What's the connection?
Look, it's overall quality of life. The governor makes that point, and he's absolutely right. I agree with that. It's overall quality of life. But the delta between these other things, access to healthcare, childcare, et cetera, is narrowing in these other states. Florida, leaps and bounds, has improved access to these things, making it a very attractive option. The Carolinas have as well. So we are really in competition with them, and cost and affordability is the cornerstone.
That is State Senator Declan O'Scanlon, the budget officer, Republican budget officer in the Senate. Thank you, Senator. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Steve. Appreciate it.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
State of Affairs with Steve Adubato is a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation. Funding has been provided by Hackensack Meridian Health, the Turrell Fund, supporting Reimagine Childcare, the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, PSC&G, Kane University, the New Jersey Education Association, Choose New Jersey, the Northward Center, Community Food Bank of New Jersey. And by these public-spirited organizations, individuals, and associations committed to informing New Jersey citizens about the important issues facing the Garden State. And by Employers Association of New Jersey. Promotional support provided by NJ.com. And by the New Jersey Business and Industry Association.
Nothing has ever been handed to me. I've had to work for it. On the field. And off the field. Kane worked with me, guided me, helped me climb higher, to get where I belong, to change my life.
Hey, welcome to the team.
Cougars climb higher. Kane University.